Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
No? Okay, let's move on to the Rams then. Okay, the Rams, they finished 10-7. Am I right about that? Did I look up the right record that time?
You're
Okay.
right.
Yeah, perfect. Offensively, they were 15th last year, 10th in passing, 24th in rushing offense. They were 17th in defense. And it seemed like as the season went on, their defense got better, right? So that's kind of like and mainly the front. Okay, favorite move that the Rams made. I'm going to start with Talon and we'll just go back and forth when we do random teams. So, Talon, give me your favorite move that the Rams made.
Yeah, this was easy. Getting Devonte Adams. That was a great move. I think he's got a little bit more left in the tank at this age than Cooper Kupp does. So I think it's a slight upgrade. And I think he'll pair nicely with Stafford if Stafford stays on the field.
I think it too differentiates the role because Cooper, Cup, and Puka kind of played the same style of
Sure.
football, and now you have kind of a distinguished role between the two wide receivers. Clint?
Yeah, I went with the same. I think Devonte Adams still has something left, and even if he isn't what he was, he's going to draw coverage. People still respect it, and with his size, he's a touchdown scorer. When you get in the red zone, you can rely on a few things besides. Cooper Kupp was down too. He's an awesome route runner, but again, injury. I think some of the injuries have caught up to him. But being able to bring in Devonte Adams, again, as Talon said, when you have Matthew Stafford out there, because I don't know if Devonte Adams is going to be excited if he has to have Jimmy Garoppolo throw him the ball again, like he did with the Raiders. But assuming Stafford is there, Stafford can get the ball where he needs, and I think it's a big upgrade.
Okay, I like it. I had Adams as well. I think the contract too needs to be. It's not that egregious of a contract or anything. I think 26 million guaranteed, but it was like 2 years left or something like that. So that's not bad. I did say I did like that they got the Falcons first round pick for next year in that draft trade. I did like that move as well. And then I like Ford. That was the guy they picked up to help their interior running um, run defense. And I think he was pretty good last year. I have notes, but I forgot to write where he ranked. I thought it was like 90. He was like PFF 90 in run stopping or something like that. So he's a pretty good run stopper. So I think that's the Rams needed that. So I really liked that signing by the Rams as well.
Big old Puna Ford. We
That's
got
it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
right.
I was super bummed when they took him from us because yeah, he's a good run stuffer. Gets a lot of TFLs too, so that was a great addition.
Yeah, I really like that for them. Okay, let's go least favorite move. We'll start with you this time, Clint. What was your least favorite move for the Rams?
Just not doing anything with the linebacker position. I mean, they technically signed Nate Landman, but he's just like one of those fine linebackers, but nothing special. So having your linebackers as Nate Landman, Spates, and Troy Reader, especially in a division that runs the ball a lot, plays off of those, is a challenge. And again, you mentioned before cornerback. Akilla Weatherspoon is their second cornerback. Niners fans, we've seen that. He's been to a few places, so that not shoring up that, even though they had now he's with Ernest Jones, and they kind of got rid of him, which he'd probably be perfect in this system, especially with their front end. I think is a problem for them.
Yeah, just to add this, the secondary I put down they were the second lowest as far as like PFF grade. They were the second worst secondary in the league. So the fact they didn't do enough, I don't think they did enough to like address that problem. So I think that's going to be a problem again this year. Um, so I'm with you on the secondary especially. Talon, what about you?
Yeah, I think kind of the same thing with the Niners. They didn't find a complement wide receiver to Harrison, and that would have been nice for his development too. Even if you went out and signed a veteran guy, somebody that could just kind
You
of
talking about the Rams or the the
Oh, oh,
Cardinals.
oh, I'm sorry. I switched to Cardinals there.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
He
my
said
bad.
it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Let's go. Let's retract and let's go to Rams. Yes, my least favorite thing that they did was how they traded Cooper Cup. Uh, Cooper Cup was a loyal guy, and I just kind of thought the way they treated him, it reminded me of how Seahawks have parted ways with other guys in the past. And what's Cooper Cup do? He goes out and signs with a division rival so he can play them 2 times a year and get a revenge game. Uh, and then that was just kind of a teaser for when we get to the Cardinals. So a little preview.
That's right. Good job. People will be interested. They'll tune into the Cardinals part.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say go back to minute 23.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's go with our green flag going into the season. We'll start with you on this one, Talon. What's your green flag for the Rams?
Green flag for the Rams. That defensive line, I think, is going to be pretty disruptive. Adding Josh Sweat and oh, I'm going Cardinals again. No, but same with the Rams. Defensive line's going to be disruptive with Verse and I think battles in the trenches in the NFC are the key to winning the division historically. And I think the Rams still own the trench battle in this division. We'll see if that pans out in the prediction segment, but that's the biggest green flag going in for me. That defensive line, I think, is the best.
Okay, I like it. Clint?
I also had defensive line, but so we don't just keep repeating it because I agree with everything Talon said that that defensive line is going to keep them in games. But outside of that, Kyron Williams kind of switch it to the other side. He's just dependable, and again, touchdown scorer. So with him healthy, he's kind of like a grinder on that team. They trust him. He does fumble sometimes, but I think offensively being able to run the ball at least good enough to keep teams honest will help them, even if they have to go to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, fair. I put passing game as long as Stafford's healthy. On top of what you guys already said, just not to be redundant, but I think like adding Adams and keeping Puka, I think those two will work well together. And as long as Stafford's healthy, I think they can always rely on their passing game. So, yeah. Red flag. Give me your red flag, Clint.
Stafford,
Yeah.
even if it's not injured, even if he's out there playing, sometimes with the back. Even last year, there were some games where he didn't look like he had the same stuff that he used to. He's a year older. He hasn't been able to do a whole lot until recently. So even if the back kind of holds up, does he lose, a little bit on the ball? Is he afraid to get hit? Sometimes it's just he's really good at waiting that half a beat and then delivering the ball and taking a hit. But when you got a disc problem in your back, are you going to wait that extra half a beat to throw the ball
Right.
and get crunched? So even if it's not injury, just his mentality, is he still willing to stand in there and get hit, knowing what he knows about his physical state?
Yeah, yeah, that's a concern. I'm always concerned for Stafford, but I'm never going to put him as a red flag. Talon, give me your red flag.
Man, yeah, he's your favorite player of all time, right? Being a
Well,
Lions.
well yeah, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the end of an era of just like that style quarterback, it seems like to me. Him and Rodgers seem to be the last from that era, traditional pocket passers. Yeah, Stafford. I mean, you want to kind of dive in and find some little huge nugget of something that could go wrong, but it just sometimes it's just staring you right in the face. I think if Stafford stays healthy, they go on to win the division, but I don't think he is going to.
I don't like that answer. Mine's the O-line's pass blocking. Did you know that their pass blocking grade last year was 30th in the NFL? They did not
I
have a
didn't know
good.
it was that low.
Yeah, it
I know
was.
that's what got them off to a super slow start and why they lost 7 games last year.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I'm curious how it did. It seemed like it got tremendously better though come the latter half of the season. Like they started to get things going in the right direction. We'll see if that carries over.
Yeah, possibly, but it's like what you guys mentioned about Stafford's injury risk. Like one way to prevent that is make sure you have a really good offensive line. And their running offensive line is actually pretty solid. It's their defense. I mean, it's their passing. So I'm a little nervous about that because they didn't do a whole lot to address their offensive line. They added a couple guys, um, but I don't know if anything that will substantially make it a better. So hopefully, like you said, if it got better as the season, I'm trying to look. It doesn't say it got better as the season went on. It probably did, but if it did, let's hope that that's the trend for Stafford's sake. For Stafford's sake. Fantasy football go to Talon.
I'm gonna just say I don't really have one here. I'm kind of avoiding the Rams because each scenario, I think Puka is safe, but I think Devontae Adams might take a lot away from him, and where he's being drafted, I'm never gonna take him. Devontae Adams also takes a lot away from the goal line because, as Clint mentioned earlier, he may have slowed down a little bit, but in the red zone, he's great. So that hurts Kyron Williams' production there, unless he breaks long ones, which we know he has the potential of. But then there's too much risk to take Devonte Adams because we don't know what Stafford's going to be if he can stay healthy. So therefore, I'm kind of not drafting Rams players this year. And who's their starting tight end?
Higby, yeah, Higby,
Yeah.
yeah. Clint, do you got one?
So I agree. I mean, I have a couple keeper leagues that I drafted Puka late in like 2 years ago because I was all over that dude. I still think he's going to be fine, but I think Talon's right. Right, you're taking a little risk for where you have to pick him, and he's probably not going to give you value from where you pick him. But I do think he's safe because I do think even if they have to go to Jimmy Garoppolo, though he might send him to the hospital with a few of those hospital balls Garoppolo throws. But I think Puka will run the routes that will keep him involved, especially in PPR. Um, so I would just stay with Puka. I think he's slipped a little bit, but he's probably come back up now that Stafford is practicing.
Yeah, I also think of like if Garoppolo does play, like where does he kind of like short, quick passes, right? So like that's why maybe Puka would be like just the safest route because I feel like he'll still get like 8 receptions a game with Stafford and Garoppolo, and you get the ball in his hands, he's hard to take down. So I would be more comfortable with him than Adams, and I also think in most fantasy leagues it's so hard to find a starting running back that if Will he might lose some touchdowns, but he might be better than the running back you get later on. So I don't know. I would say Puka for me, but I'm as hesitant as you, Talon, about like picking a Rams player. So predictions. Let's go ahead and predict the Rams. There 9.5 wins. Clint, what you got for the Rams?
So this was, if I knew it was going to be smooth sailing for Stafford before we kind of found out what's going on with his back, I had the Rams winning the division because I do think they have that edge. But I don't think Stafford's going to hold up for the whole year. And the more that this is dragged on, the more I do worry that maybe he turns a little Aaron Rodgers-esque and that he's afraid to get hit and he doesn't make some of these throws. So long story short, I had them over their win total, but I had them at 10-7.
Okay. Talon?
Yeah, let's flip that. I've got them at 7-10.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think the drop off could be huge for them. And I don't think that defensive line will carry them because you think Browns have a good defensive line, but if you don't have an offense that can produce, then it's not going to matter in the long run. And I don't think the Rams offense is going to produce this year. And piggybacking off of that, the O-line concerns, if those pan out too, like you mentioned, uh-oh.
Yeah. This one's a challenge because of the Stafford. I remember last year there was questions about Stafford's elbow, right? And everybody was worried about that, and he turned out okay for the season. Um, I'm gonna go one more year with Stafford though. I have 10-7. I think he'll overall play fine. it might be his last year where we can depend on him, but I'm going to go 10-7 as well.
Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.